What's up, Jim's junkies, as you are now affectionately called. So just firstly, after putting the footage together of yesterday's work, it was a bit drawn out, maybe, I'm not sure. I did talk an awful lot and not a whole lot got done, so if you'd like me to, you know, condense things a bit, I'm going to try it today, see how it goes. I'd really appreciate your feedback, you know, leave a comment, send me a message, whatever. You can find me at jims_junk on Instagram. Yeah, let me know, because I want to know. And I have a habit of blabbing on a bit. So, a bit of progress this morning. I have the coil hats tacked on at the right angle, which is pretty cool. So, grab this little boy, chuck it on the face there. We've got it, it's zeroed out, so it's at 0 on the face. And then, oh, I haven't checked this, chuck it on there. 84.8. So I was after 85, and I'm pretty close there. 85 there. So, hats are on. Pretty cool to see that. So I had a think last night, had a chat to a few people, and I am going to make some radius arm mounts to suit the 80 series radius arms. It would be a big waste of my time going to all this effort to just reuse Jimny arms and the mounts on the Jimny diff. Like, where's the fun in that, hey? So I was a bit worried that I wouldn't be able to work out the geometry and stuff, but, you know, set the angle of the diff right. But I reckon I'll get close enough. So I picked up some 6mm steel. I also found a company online that sells mounts, and they've got some photos of them up. So I'm gonna do a combination of measuring the arms, looking at this photo, and then taking some dimensions from the Jimny up the top, and trying to work out, I think what's important here is getting the end of the radius arm, the chassis end, to sit in a similar spot to how it does on the stock arms, so that the mounts that I make off the chassis are as short as possible. I don't want big tall ones hanging down, it's going to look pretty weird, catch on stuff, all that. So yeah, so I'm just going to get the end of the 80 series radius arm sitting in a similar spot to where they do on the stock geometry currently. I think that's all I have to do, but yeah, we'll see as the day plays out. So what's next? I think I'm gonna get the metal out of the car and start making some mounts. So I'll check back in when I've got some progress on that. Cool. So there's a rough shape, bit of trial and error here until I got the shape that I was after. This outside edge should sit approximately 5mm above the radius arm, help protect it, absorb some of the impact, all that, even when I'm off-roading. Look, the cuts aren't fantastic. It's going to take a fair bit of cleaning up, but Like, I could have done a better job with my grinder, but I figured, you know, it's all part of it with this job. I'm trying to learn new skills, build my skills. Hey George, he's just chilling up there while I'm just hacking away at this. So sick. Anyway, yeah, so fair bit of cleanup to do. These holes are going to serve as reference points for the 4 mounts. So I'm going to clean this one up, make this a template, and then mark it out, drill the holes, and yeah, just do 3 more of them. So let's go. Okay, so I've cleaned up this one, and now I've traced it, drilled it, or put a little center point. I didn't drill all the way through. I'll do that on the drill press. So now just repeat the process like 3 more times, and I'm not going to film it. Try and make this video a little bit quicker, eh? Alright, so 2 fresh ones, laser plasma cut. I'm going to keep this as a template just in case I need to use it on the front when doing the front diff. It's just going to make it a lot easier. Not much extra time, cutting out 1 extra to make up, you know, to get to the 4 that I need. So just getting better at this, well, arguably better. Trying to keep my cuts more vertical, but the fact that I cut this whole thing out whilst just like, you know, moving around in the right spot, that was pretty cool. So getting a little bit more confident with this plasma thing. But yeah, I don't know, I'll check back in and when the other 2 are cut out and I've prepped them or something like that. Alright, so I've got the 4 cut out, and I've just got a drill bit sitting in the holes in all 4 plates, and these are just means they're located in the right position, and then I'm going to shape them all to be the same size. So yeah, bit of discrepancy amongst them all, some bad cuts and things, so it's just especially important that this section is the same shape, very vertical. I'll be sure to keep it as vertical as I can when I shape that, because that's going to position where they sit on the diff more or less. So yeah, I'll chuck a clamp on this, chuck it in the vise and get shaping. Bulk of the shaping is done. They sit down, although they're currently catching on this weld here. In hindsight, I should have had a little bit less material on these, but that's alright. I'm just gonna put a little chamfer on both corners, there and there, just so it can drop right down and have no gap at all. How spicy are we? Very spicy. Pretty cool. Cool, so a little bit more clearancing, and we're sitting, the mounts are sitting beautifully on the housing there. Really well. Really happy with that. So now I'm gonna start working on them individually. There were a couple low spots. I'm not sure if you can pick that up. Which I didn't want to take out of the whole thing, and I'm going to put a bit of a radius over it, so those low spots I'll treat individually, and I certainly won't touch this inside edge because that'll keep these holes, help align these holes for the radius arms. So how's that, hey? Not too bad. Oh, it's pretty hefty. Alright, so day 2 on this rear diff is done. Really happy with how today's work turned out. So in the morning I got those coil hats tacked on in position, replicating the Jimny coil position. Then for the rest of the day I was fabricating these radius arm mounts. Took a fair chunk of time, but really happy with how they turned out. They're all exactly the same, like super duper similar. So here we have one sitting on the radius arm, so the holes are centered right now. We've got just enough clearance there that the diff housing will sit on that and miss the radius arm, and then the mount comes out 5 mil or so further than the radius arm, just, you know, in case I land on some rocks or whatever. Help take some of the impact, all that. So yeah, that's them done. My next challenge is working out where these need to go, like what angle, in order to put the end of this radius arm close to the chassis. I don't want the end of the radius arm to be sitting 200 mil down or even 100 mil down. I want it to be right up close to the chassis with the current suspension and lift. So it's going to be a fair bit of measuring, going out measuring the Jimny, working out angles and all that stuff, to try and get those brackets welded in the right spot. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, but you know, I'm sure I'll be able to work it out. We'll see anyway. God knows I'll just be tacking everything for a while until it's under the car and I can test the geometry. So worst case, I can just cut and roll the diff over a bit, that sort of thing. But yeah, pretty happy with today's progress. Really glad I went down this route instead of reusing these super flimsy stuff. As a clever mate of mine, Jimbo, said, those mounts and radius arms, Jimny ones, are not rated to this weight, so I'm going to feel much better having these holding the axles under the car. Alright, a new day. Time to bring this thing down the back. Been postponing it because I'm pretty short on space down there, but I think hopefully it's Friday afternoon now. Hopefully this weekend I'll be able to get the the rear diff underneath the car and to be able to move it again around that yard. So I could really use the ability to measure radius arms and things, bits and pieces under there, and then eventually I think I'll probably just sit the diff under there, clamp the radius arms on just to check things before I tack the radius arm mounts on. But anyway, it hasn't been started in a number of months. Apparently the battery's not disconnected. Hey! Woohoo! Woo! Oh, I missed that sound. All right, we're still in four-wheel drive. Oh, that haven't missed that one. Oh, let's give that a second. Hey, there we go. That took a minute. Whew, nice to be back in this thing. Alright, so I'm going to try and reverse and let's see if the rear diff wants to, you know, play, or if it's just going to lock up. Oh. 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 I had to go get the pup because I could see him through that window causing a bit of ruckus. Anyway, oh. 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 Jesus Christ. You get the idea. I'm coming down a one-way road, so I'm gonna put the GoPro away, but boy, it's loud. Right, this, I don't know if you're picking up how loud that was. And when I sped up down the hill, it's not good. Really not good. So we finally got it in here. It'll probably do some big clicks as I pull it in, so. Pretty bad, hey? So it'll be interesting to find out what's going on inside there. Something's binding up. It was pretty lucky that when the diff blew, it was down this road maybe 1 or 2 kilometers, and drove home at about 40 kilometers an hour with it just shaking the whole car. Just it was hectic. Yeah, got some funny looks. I'm sure you can imagine why. So, cool. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. Alright, so I've been doing some thinking off camera this time. Save you guys the pain. And I've just got the new radius arms not test fitted, but like sitting, albeit inwards, but sitting on the axle and where I believe they will be pivoting from on the chassis. So I'll try and show you. Oh, what have we got going on under here? So there we have, that's it, obviously in the center of the axle. And here, that black line, currently from center of the axle to the current radius arm, it's 750 mil, and these from center of the axle to the center of this bushing is, what is it, 830 mil, so it's another 80 mil. So that line represents where it's going to pivot. So got the same thing going on here, and yeah, now that I've got this jacked up and sort of in position, so to speak, I can now reference the face of this flange, which represents like the pinion angle, or you know, the angle that the actual diff and the tail shaft sits on. So I can take that measurement and then measure perhaps this bottom edge and work out what the difference is and get a reference, you know, the difference between the two. And then I'm going to be able to go over to the Bundy diff, get this angle, and then roll these brackets around till that angle represents how it's sitting now. That might make sense, it might not, it might work, it might not. There's obviously more precise ways to do it, but I think it's just going to be how I'm going to do it. So I've zeroed this out. There we go, 0. And now if I bring this round to over here, I've got 72 degrees. Right, but the thing I've realized is, so with this at 0, bring it over to this face, get it to, where are we? Oh. Right, so 0 is roughly there. So if I roll this over, it goes to 90, so that's 90 degrees, and then it starts counting down. So when it says 72, as it hopefully will again, 72, and then 0. What that actually means, it's not a 70 degree angle, it's a roughly, so 90 plus 20, so it's a 110 degree angle from here to there. So just something to note before I weld them in the wrong spot. But now I have a reference between the pinion face and where the radius arm needs to sit, because this is virtually where it's going to sit. So that's pretty cool. We'll see if this works. Bit worried, but just space it out the right amount so that it's going to land on the center of the chassis out here. Set the angle, tack them on. It's exciting. What do we have here? We have a bracket that is sitting in the right spot, ready to weld. Check the angle. What are we reading still? 71.9. That's zeroed out, so we are good to go. Oh, boy, this is exciting. Right, we got 72 at 0.2. 0.1. Yeah, pretty close. Sick! That's awesome! That is absolutely awesome. Single tack for now, both sides. This space is just gonna keep things square as I weld it. Crank those bolts up. Whoa! Let's get this one done! Hey! Woo! A few more tacks, get the other mount on, and that's gonna be able to sit under soon. Tomorrow even. Oh, that's exciting. Alright, so sitting in position just about. So now instead of referencing the difference between that, the pinion, and this in the same way that I did with that mount, I'm going to just mimic what's happening, what angle is on there. Hopefully, you know, I mean, that's more important than trying to go to 72. If that one's half a degree off, then, you know, I'd prefer that these two are just as close as possible to each other. So we've got 75. Oh, did that on camera. Nice, they're the same. 87.5. 87.5. Good stick, George. Hey, George. Hey, come here. No, he's not going to do that. That was silly. So 87.5. We come over to this one. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick that up. What do we got? 86.9. There we are. That's the one. So now I'm just going to leave that on there so I can check. And I'll just double check that the spacing off the hub is correct. So I'm looking for 147.5. Oh, I can't read that. $87.5. We're good to go, baby. So there's about a 0.2, well, at least I'm reading a 0.2 difference between the 4 brackets. I'll take that. I mean, that's assuming that little cheapo level box is accurate, which it might not be. But this is freaking cool to see. Seriously cool. Woohoo! That's a big step. I'm really happy about that. Nice. All right. Welcome back to another day working on the diffs. So today, so neating that up. It's a bit crazy. So today I'm going to be working on the panhard mount and putting one, whether it's this one or another, putting that one on the diff, new diff. In hindsight, probably should have noticed that the panhard, hello George, hey mate, that this panhard is mounted off the back of the radius arm mount. So really probably should have extended this metal, had it go out there. But here we are, didn't do that, so going to work out a way to attach that on. So I guess what I'm going to start doing is working out the spacing from center of axle back, work out that, and then sort of see where that sits. You know, it's about this far, so it's sort of like here. So I could probably just bevel this edge, do a really good weld, and build off a little platform here. I suspect that's what I'm going to do without thinking about it. It's probably what I'm going to do, but we'll I'll have a think, take some measurements, and get back to you with my plan. George, hello puppy. What's going on over here, hey?
Journey to try and create something as ethical and sustainable as possible.
That's a draw system that James and I spent last night making. So, yeah, anyway, back to it. I'll check back in when I've got some progress on the panhard. Alright, so it's probably going to be a bit tricky to explain, but I've measured this flat and this flat, which is something I can reference on the new diff. So I'm going to just reuse sort of this top plate and this end mount, cut it along that edge, cut it along this edge, so I've sort of got something to work with. Then bring that over to the radius arm and then fill in the void with properly beveled sections of metal, and then that flat bit will come out to the position it needs to sit in, and yeah, fill in the void and make up for the mistake of not extending the mounts in the first place. So I'll probably plasma cut this off now that I know that this is center of the panhard is 130mm out, and I've got the reference between these two faces, and it's bang in line in the middle of the radius arm mount, so it'll be the same on that side. So yeah, start cutting. Nice, nice, dude. Nice, brother.
Nice.
Look, taught by the best.
Is that alright there, mate? Is that all good?
Yeah, it's all good, man.
Cool.
It's all good.
Holy booger. don't show that on the camera. No. Don't show that. You Can't be showing the world fucking boogers like that, mate. Oh, yeah.
Cool. So, there we are. That's sort of something that I can reuse. Alright, so a change of plans with the panhard mount. I tried to retain this flat plate just to give a bit of reference, possibly make it easier for me, but it's not, hasn't made it easier. So what I've done is tack this flat plate on, which essentially is this section here, and then I'm going to separate, like I did on the side here, separate, cut through this weld and just get it so it's just this folded section, right? And then this is at the right angle, so we've got 88 reading there, which is +2 to 90, and then it goes back, so we go up and then we're at 90 and back down, and then we've got 0 there. So that is, this plate is sitting at the right angle, so 92 degrees from there, you know, that's how it worked out. So now I'm going to separate this section, get this bit, and then that will be able to sit on the end there, and I'm just going to cut out some bracing for this section just to brace the end of it, and then the panhard will nearly be done. Very exciting. I'm very happy with this change, you know, just getting rid of this flat plate altogether, going like that. Alright, a little bit more progress here. So obviously rolled the diff around. Now this was the template for the bracing. That's, oh, I lost it. It's going there. So this radius edge will be beveled, both the bracket that's already tacked on and this piece. So it'll be good penetration in the weld. So that'll sit, oh, come on, just stay there. You stayed there before. There. That'll sit there. It's got a nice straight line down the rest of the bracket somehow. That has ended up to give it a straight line, which is cool. Do wish there was a bit more room to do a curve or something to make it look a little bit less, a bit more factory, I suppose, but that's that. So make one more of these to go on this side, and then bevel and tack them, and then I'll be able to tack this section on. Getting there. Alright, so jumped ahead a bit. I'm in a bit of a rush. I wasn't filming a lot, and you guys are probably going to appreciate that. So there we go. I've got the two bracing fill-in sections, beveled this edge, tacked that on, same deal over this side, beveled, so that'll be welded out and then blended so it doesn't look like it's there. Super clean join, crisp join in there. There's no sort of very minimal gap. It's okay, there's a little gap, but that'll fill in with the weld. It'll there's a very small, the bevel goes almost all the way through. There's a very small landing, like a mil, half a mil sort of thing. So now that that's on, I get this piece, and that'll essentially be like that, but I'm going to remove this from it. Okay, so yet another change of plans, and once again it's for the better. This thing, I guess I got hooked or stuck on the thought that I was going to use this and reuse it, because initially I thought I would use more of it than just this. So it got to a point where I'd pretty much built a new panhard mount, so I thought I might as well just go all the way with this. So I have, this is all just tacked in, but I have built a new mount. Same angles and stuff. It's this one. Yeah, so much happier with that. Probably gonna brace this backside, put a section between it, much the same as this one has there. So have a section on the back there, just to help with the, obviously the you know, prevent these from bending, although they're obviously much thicker than this. But I thought this is going to look bloody dicky on top of that, and why not just go the extra mile? So there we are. Just need to fill in that back piece, and that'll be the panhard mount tacked together. Jim. Alright, so there we have it. We've got a brand new panhard mount, all tacked up. Pretty happy. All made of 6mm. Would have been a waste of my time had I put the old 3mm thing on this 6mm work of art. So now I need to start making the chassis end mounts to weld on the chassis. Howdy guys, just calling it quits for today. Didn't quite manage to get the diff underneath it, unfortunately, but I really tried my hardest. Absolutely knackered, but made really good progress. Things are working out very differently to how I anticipated at the start of this. Didn't think I was going to build entirely custom mounts, but I'm really happy that I have. It's been a really cool experience. So coming out from this learning a lot throughout the whole thing, so it's really cool. So what am I up to? Right, I think the last thing I showed you was that panhard bracket. It's all tacked up, ready to weld out. I'm not gonna weld it out until I've had the thing underneath and checked everything, because God knows I could have made some serious errors here. The next thing I did was make some chassis end radius arm mounts. So these are gonna go, the whole center is what, 80mm further forward, so roughly there is where they're gonna go, something like that. Bit of a dicky little shape, sort of regret it. It's not very streamlined like that, but here we are. That's what they look like. So yeah, so I guess maybe tomorrow I'll be you know, cutting all this away, taking it back to the chassis, prepping it ready to weld these on, and I reckon what I'm going to do is, so here we have one sitting over the end of the radius arm, so it's just enough clearance there that the mount will hit before the radius arm in the same way the diff is set up. So what I'm going to do is bolt these up, both radius arms up to the diff, bolt the chassis mounts to the end of the radius arm, and then roll the whole thing up under, and that will make sure that I weld the brackets onto the chassis in the right spot. I won't rely entirely on how these are aligned. I will be cross-referencing measurements and where they should be, a bit of a mixture of both, squaring things up on the chassis from various points that I can reference, all that stuff. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. Starting to get a bit tongue-tied again because I'm knackered. So I used a lot of mental and physical power today. But yeah, that's it. Just about ready to put this thing underneath, which is sick. I'm pretty nervous. Yeah, there's a lot that could have gone wrong. Never done this before, so yeah. Alright, that's it. This will probably, I think I'm just gonna call it for this episode. Thanks for watching, appreciate it. As always, any feedback, being so early in the game, the YouTube game, I appreciate it a lot. So, you know, leave a comment or whatever if you like this or didn't like that. Might not listen to you, but I'll take it on board. Yeah, cool. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next episode where I get the diff under. Alright, I lied. It's a little bit of sunlight left and I've got a little burst of energy. I'll just get like just a little bit more done. So I've got the plasma cutter out. And just before I cut these off, I thought I'd show you why I didn't want to keep these mounts. That's why. The whole thing's twisted. They're weak as. It's just like completely twisted. Pretty sure that has been knocked off center as well. That left side is banged up. So what I'm gonna do right now is just cut along here through the mount and down close to this bolt hole, leaving that there. That's my reference point still to know where to line up the other one, and try and clean up the space in front and see if I can clean it up enough and leave just the rear of this mount on. So even when I unbolt this whole system, that bolt hole will still be in the mount, so I'll have a point of reference. Yeah, so that's me. I'm gonna start cutting. It's my new favorite tool. I love it. It's so much fun. Battle wound, snapped a bit off and into my face, so nice one. So here we are, got the clearance that I was after whilst retaining this position. So next I need to clean up this, work out where the welds are and unpick the welds, obviously sacrificing this piece instead of the chassis, staying well clear of that. And then very delicately run a slice along here just to separate it, weaken it enough that I can bend it down, bend the two off. Well, I had like a little second wind, so I thought I'd make the most of it. Oh, holy dooly. Better go wash that. Yeah, nasty. But yeah, I'm over it, and it's about 6:30 and my poor neighbours, so I thought I'd give them a break. Probably just gonna hurt myself again, but started to peel off this section. So once that whole plate there is peeled off, I can prep this area ready for welding the new bit on. Whew. This can be a little bonus scene for you lot lucky bastards. Yeah, so haven't started on that side. Just need to cut along those welds, cut along that weld there, and then slowly pry it off like this without damaging any of the metal that I want to keep. So, oh boy, yeah. Alright, that is officially it. Maybe I should have called it quits when I actually said I did. Alright, see you later.